Alright, so this is a tutorial on how to make a fabric visor wrap. My daughter is going into kindergarten and not sure if she'll be able to wear the mask all day, so I made her a visor with a little wrap around it for some more protection, and made one for myself too because I'm a teacher. So here's the material. It's laid out, and you'll want to determine how much of the material to cut out for the middle part in the visor. You want the material to overlay just a little bit away from the edge, because you have to sew a seam so it doesn't fray on the edges. So here you are looking to try to figure out where exactly to cut. So lay the visor on the material, and then you're going to use something like a Sharpie or something like that to mark where you want to cut. Luckily, my material was very easy to figure out how to cut in a straight line because of the print. So if you don't have that particular kind of print, of course you can use a ruler to make sure you're cutting nice and straight. So about an inch, inch and a half is where you need to go over the visor. That way you have plenty of room to sew that seam. And also, if you don't want to sew, I believe there's stuff called sew glue. You might could even use hot glue. I'm not sure any of that would work. I happen to have a sewing machine, so I use that. I am not a seamstress by any means, so please don't use my sewing abilities as perfection, because it's not. But as I'm continuing here, I'm just showing you where to cut. Alright, so that's all you need to do is mark off where to cut on the fabric. Now, my material was cut shorter, so I knew exactly how long I needed it to go around her head. If yours is, a large piece of material, you'll also need to kind of measure it around your head to determine how big or how long you want the material. Alright, so I've cut out the middle part now, and just showing you where you need to sew the seams. It needs to have a seam around all of the edges, otherwise it will fray. So you can see there the mask is just a little bit bigger than where I've cut, and now I'm going to go and first actually you're going to iron the seams, and I did cut mine off a little bit. You see where I'm pointing there. I cut it shorter because this is for a kindergartner, so I didn't want it to cover her entire shirt, just down to her chest area. And then to iron the seams, it was a little bit easier to cut. Yes, I'm cutting funny because I'm trying to hold the camera with one hand, but there you go. So you see there, you just cut on both sides of the curve and iron it. It makes it really easy when you want to go and sew it. And here's an example of the one that I did for me, already sewed. So you can see all of the sides are sewed on the edges. That way you don't have any fraying material, which is never a good thing. So make sure you sew all of the edges, or like I said, you can use sew glue, or maybe even hot glue would work. I'm not sure. Not a seamstress again, so don't take my word for gold. Look, I can't even cut straight. So, all right. So I did a couple seconds of me actually sewing, and yeah, I do back it up in the beginning. Like I just back it up just a little bit to reinforce that, and then just keep sewing around. And I did one continuous seam all the way around the fabric. So you get the idea. Make sure that you do it nice and straight, and there you go. So now it's sewn all the way around. You got your seam, and the mask is going to fit right there. So the next part is putting on the Velcro. So I purchased a Velcro off Amazon. I'll put the link in the comments or in the instruction section, and it's just industrial strength Velcro. It's got sticky stuff on the back, and I cut it into smaller pieces so that it would fit well. So there's the Velcro, and it doesn't matter which part goes on which, on the fabric or on the plastic, but you can see that on the plastic you're not going to need to do anything. The sticky part works really well. So there it is. I cut it all up in little pieces. I put this part on the actual mask itself, and then the loop part of the Velcro I sewed on to the fabric. Now with the loop part on the fabric, you unfortunately you're going to have to hand sew that. I tried to do it on my machine, and because of the stickiness and the Velcro, it just would not work. So the little loopies is what I put on the Velcro. So you just kind of measure and see where it needs to be, match it up with the mask, and then sew those on by hand. There is that film on the back that you have to take out. That's probably one of the hardest parts of the whole project. I made my 12-year-old daughter work on that for me because it was so hard to get off. Alright, so now you see there all the Velcro is put on the mask and sewn on to the fabric. And now you need to put a button on. I happen to have an old leather shoelace. So that's what I decided to use, and my kids had a button from some project somewhere. I don't know. I don't keep a whole lot of extra sewing materials around, but I had a button and a shoelace, and so that's what I used. So for the shoelace, I did sew that onto the fabric with my machine. So right there is where I sewed it on. And then I hand sewed the button on. So there's the button, hand sewed that on. And then I put it on my daughter's head to see how long, so there's the machine sewing on of the shoestring, to the leather shoestring. You can use whatever you have available. But, so I measured it to my daughter's head while she had it on, but that's what I did. I looped it like that, and I hand sewed it together, and then cut off the excess. So now she's ready for kindergarten, and that way when she can choose whether she wants a mask or to wear a face shield. I also have one for myself. You can see I have a microphone there as well, so my students can hear me. It's attached to my computer so they can hear me online and in person. And my fabric goes a little bit further. I made mine a little bit longer, but the idea is to protect other people. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much.